Hey guys, Tonester back. I've got a viewer request to talk about Fisherman's Bay, particularly playing in the middle of the map. And I want to show you guys why the north spawn is much harder to play than the south spawn. The first point we're going to make, Brian is sitting on his side of the bushes. And he's got bushes on his side, I've got bushes on my side. And we are going to illustrate that these bushes do not work. Okay, let's go ahead and I position him in those bushes, and he's gonna spot me, and I am not going to spot him. Okay, so which is very important. Now, once I get close enough to make the bushes opaque, we can spot each other, right? But the problem being that from the north spawn, you get spotted first. And because of how flat and open that side of the map is, and we'll show you when we get back there. I'm just taking Brian to a position now, but because of how flat and open this area is, it is very difficult to escape, and and because you get spotted first, typically people come over here to try and get shots on the heavies. But when they cross, they get lit and they get tore up, right? Especially if there's arty. Arty is also much more effective on this side. Even though you have more cover on this side, because it's flat, it's easier for them to hit. So let's take a quick look and illustrate how flat this is. Do you see how this side drops off? It's not super steep, but it drops off less steep, but it does drop off. So later we're going to show you how even a Russian tank in a T-54 lightweight Brian's in can get shots on me where I'm only seeing his turret. So that's another issue, is the topography is such that you're relying on buildings from this side of the map, whereas they can rely on slopes and buildings. So let's go ahead and continue the replay. So I placed Brian over in a position over here because oftentimes this is the best place right here to play from this position right here. Okay, and you'll see certain very good players play this position. Why is it the best place? It's semi-arty safe. You're safe from the heavies unless they really over push, and even then they're going to have a hard time hitting you because they've got to kind of hit you through this lane. And you're able to hit people here. You're able to pull out a little bit, hit people here, and the opposite position for this is over on this side. There's a little nook there. They have a much more secure position than this side of the map does. So let's go ahead and I'm just trying to get lit here basically, and I don't get lit. Now you can get lit from this position if somebody is further. I tell Brian to move over a little bit, and he can spot me from that position. However, usually it's when you're firing at the enemy that's somewhere in this area, or if they've pushed out even further, or pushed out. I guess it's this building that has the nook. I'm sorry. But anyway, if they push out here and you're fighting a guy, you can take massive damage from guys in this tree line. So it's a very dangerous position to take, but it's really the only viable position on this side of the map. There are other positions, and I'll show you those, but yeah, they're not good. So okay, so I just asked Brian to fire, right, so I could see where he's at. And then when he drops off detection, so I'm attempting to get detected from him there. So we're talking in TeamSpeak and just discussing, or Discord, and just discussing positions, basically. So I just wanted to show that he does, in fact, have shots. So let's fast forward a little bit here. Okay, so now from this position, this is the same strong position. Remember, if you pull out here and there's someone there, they are going to light you no matter what. They're going to light you even if I don't fire. I only had to fire there because Brian is so far away. But see how he's got awesome shots on me? And even if I was on this corner, if any part of my tank is sticking out, he's got shots on me, right? So that's another position where you can get hit. So now we're just fast forwarding, and we're going to show you some other positions basically that are, I don't know what we're doing here. Hang on a second. Maybe this is just testing out the positions. Now, do you see where he's at? He does have shots on me. I'm having trouble here. Okay, yeah, see, he's got shots on me there, right? He could shoot me, so you never want to be in the middle of these bushes ever, okay? If you're in a hold-down tank, it can work sometimes, and we're just trying to keep each other spotted, basically. And I've sent Brian to a very aggressive position, and that position is over on the other side here, and I believe I have him fire. Yeah, so that's a very aggressive position, but people can light you there. And anybody that is, if they take this line here, the one line, you do not want to stay in this position or any of these buildings, because you'll get shot from over here, all the pieces, right? Also, there is a line that people can hit you through these bushes and with relative ease. This is actually a quite strong position, but you've really got to tuck up against this structure here. And if you've got a hold down tank, it's actually a pretty strong position, but you are not already safe. And people like Brian, if Brian was, he's like, I'm not that aggressive, I wouldn't do that. And I said, no, but you can. You can come out there. There's a bush that he's got out there. Sorry, I really should install a mod. But there's a position he can go here and light you for free, basically, and he does not get lit, okay? So that's a decent hold-down position, but you've really got to tuck up against this this structure, this dead tank here. So the counter to that for Brian is that he can come up and he can stay basically hold down. He's not hold down right now, but we're trying to get him into a position where he is hold down. So we're just moving around the map a little bit. Okay, and so I've lit him, right? And he does not have the gun depression there because he's in a Russian light tank. And so I'm going to show him where I want him to go. But if he was in a Centurion 7-1 or any number of other tanks that have good gun depression, he could use that position. Now, he's not already safe, but here he does have the gun depression. So that's the counter to that position if somebody's sitting in that position with that dead tank. I used to like to play here a lot. And I still do play here some because it does afford you a hold down position. I'm not using it hold down right now because we're not really fighting, but I could use that hold down. Now the problem with that is that if people are on this other ridge over here, see how I'm aimed right at that ridge there? They can actually hit you from over there. So, again, you've got to be completely tucked up against this rock in order to be safe. And it does afford you some arty safety, but again, if anybody comes down the one line, you're dead meat. So, And the position that Brian is in right now counters this position because he can stay hull down and shoot at me all day long. So you're not always going to be in a light tank up here. In fact, you're probably mostly going to be in a medium, right? So fighting a hull down guy is kind of... The only good thing is you're already safe and he's not. So the only advantage you would have here is if Artie was in play. But I just wanted to demonstrate, all these Russian hover mediums that are firing gold rounds and stuff. They're going to be able to just own you from that location. So what he's attempting to do, see, he's hull down here too, and he can't quite get a shot. But in other tanks that have better gun depression, he could sit there and shoot at you all day. And that is the reason that the north spawn is very, very hard to play on Fisherman's Bay. So here's another position. This is, I sometimes use this position and I'll sit here and wait for people to fire from this hill. It's very dangerous though, because if Brian comes up here, you notice we haven't gone unlit. He also can be fired at from our snipers, but he's got a building that basically he can go tuck up against this building and be relatively safe and spot me and then just back off. I have an entire line here. See this? It's diagonal. Anytime you have a diagonal approach like that, that means anyone in this entire line can hit me, right? So it's very dangerous to play this location from this side of the map. You either really have to know what you're doing, know what's over here, know that there's nobody. Basically, if you know there's nobody in the middle, that is one of the bigger keys. So, yeah, that's this position. Not much to say. So, I'm also, yeah, this is a position that I've used in the past. And the reason I'm having trouble with my controls, the reason people don't go here is because there are snipers back here. And if there's a sniper here or a light tank here, he will spot you if he's far enough to make these bushes opaque. But usually they sit kind of in the middle of those bushes and you won't even get lit for coming up here. And I've used this spot a lot. It's a high risk, high reward position because you can spot their snipers that sit up here. Sometimes if their snipers fire from here, if they pull back, if you get guys coming down this way and trying to come towards the one line, you can catch those guys out. It's a mid to late game spot for me in a light tank. I wouldn't do it in a medium. But I'm not really showing you the other side of the map because the other side is so much easier to play. Your bushes work in the middle. They you have counters to almost any position that I might use. And from the north spawn, and you can get away because if there's a lot better crossfire from the other side. I guess I should say that. And let's stop and talk about that. See this position that Brian's in right now? He's got a building. It's an L-shaped building, and he can tuck up in here and be completely safe at all times from artillery, from all enemies, and pull out at will. And he's got firing through here. He's got firing over to this position, and he can light stuff all the way back, all the way in the back here behind this building at will. I mean, and he's got bushes in front of him, so he has an excellent position to ambush people from. There is no such position from the north side. This building is kind of not really worth it. This building you can use. I've used it before, but why would you use a building when you can just go down the hill 20 meters and be completely hull down against everybody, every position that they might use, right? This is that the building we were just at. Then there's the dead tank position, which you're safe from if you're in this middle. Then if anybody pokes out here, you're hull down to them, so you can just fire on them at will. This little depression, there's a little dip right here, is really good to use for tanks that have better gun depression. If you pull up right here, you'll angle your tank down this way, and you can shoot into these bushes over here really easily. It's just much easier to play. Not to mention you have this nook position from both sides, basically, where you're not going to get spotted and you can shoot at the heavies, basically. So I never really sit out in this location because one already aims there all the time. But you do have the first shot advantage because their bushes don't work as good. So you can pull out there on occasion and take a pot shot and then tuck up against this building. So I think that's kind of how I view Fisherman's Bay. I think Brian sent me a replay. I'm going to take a look at it and see if I can use it. If not, I'll find one off Watt Replays because it's very hard to get the right map and the right tank, because you really need something with either gun depression or really good turret armor, or if you want to play up on the flat from this side, you need hull armor. From the other side, it's much more difficult, although I've had excellent games in the past, like in really lightly armored tanks in this position, also in this position and this position here, but you've really got to be careful. You take a metric ton of damage. I hope that helps, Finder, and I will follow up with a video for you on Fisherman's Bay, maybe from both sides. We'll see if I can find a good enough one from both sides to actually show you the things I want to show you, basically. I appreciate your inquiry. Again, big shout out to Brian C53. Thanks for stopping in and helping me out. It took quite a while to make this video, and we were on TeamSpeak, and it's just great to have support. So I appreciate all my subscribers, but big shout out to you, Brian. Okay, thanks again, and we will catch you next time. Toaster out. Here we are with Flea. He's in his Object 430, and he is playing Fisherman's Bay, and he is in the middle of the map, and he has spotted this E50, and this E50 has crested the ridge. You notice it's quite far into the game. That was a nice shot right into the turret front there, but we're almost 4 minutes into the game, and nothing's happened, and the reason is there's 3 arties on each team. Apologize about this stupid my Windows update, but that's the way it goes. So he's just playing the perfect position here, and even still the middle is very hard to play. Now, just a little bit about this position and this map here. Once these guys get past this little area here, this AMX-30, you really don't want to stay here, because they're gonna, once they take these guys out, they'll have shots on you in the middle. So I don't stay here much past that, but Flea does tend to stay here a little bit longer, and he spots a Super Conqueror, which is, the Super Conqueror is not a fair fight for a Object 430, because the Object 430, he can load gold for the Object 430 and pen your turret. So it's just not a fair fight. However, with 3 arties, as long as he's being arty safe, it's not a terrible play to stay here just to spot the enemy, you know. and he is fairly arty safe. Now, as he pokes, you notice he's poking on. He's going to get lit the minute he pokes, right? So he's poking on basically three guys. You got an E50 here. You've got, which he's kind of out of position, but he might be able to get a shot. You've got a Super Conqueror, and you got an M48 Patton. So that is one of the issues with pulling out here on and trying to get shots. You know, you need to kind of do it in a let's see, are we in first person? So he pulls out again, and the same thing, you know, that Patton was pre-aimed, so you never want to pull out sideways. But the problem with side scraping here is that when you side scrape, you end up getting arty shots. So you're in a no-win situation, really, in my opinion, especially from this side. From the other side, at least you can stay hull down to the tanks. And he is working some nice damage in, and also providing spots for his arty. So I'm not certain why the arty is not punishing these guys, but they're not. So playing this position is very, very difficult, and very, very good players get hammered. So you notice, you see Flea did exactly what he should there. He fired, and then he turned his hull. So I don't know what this Patton thinks he's doing, but Flea is doing a great job of side scraping him. And sometimes your shots don't hit, that's okay. But if you can find an enemy out in this position, especially with 3 arties, you can get a lot of damage quick in this 430. But that said, Flea's down to 95 health now, and you can tell this Patton loaded heat, and I don't know if he shot. It's really hard, difficult to tell where he was hit, but I know his upper plate is easily penetratable by heat, as is his turret if you hit on just on either side of his turret. So where that guy hit him, I will never know, but it kind of goes to show you, yeah, you can get some damage, and he's even got some assist out of this, but the problem is he's the only one here. So that's who everybody's shooting at. So he did get a tier 10 kill, then he's worked down a Super Conqueror, and I think that E50's dead too, maybe. Yeah, the E50 also died. So it's just a really difficult place to play, especially alone. But at the same time, so I'm not sure I would have pulled out there, Flea, but regardless, the bottom line is that you did hold the middle, and their Conqueror is a one-shot, so you kind of were able to play the middle well enough to, against 3 guys, no less, to hold it for your team for quite a while. So that's kind of the pitfalls finder when you come to playing this map. And I don't know how this ended up in here. Something else, some other game. It like cuts to some other. Oh, it cuts to another person in your game. But anyway, it's the pitfall of playing the middle. It really is tough to play, and if you're outnumbered in the middle, they can get angles on you where they can get crossfires on you, or they can just sit there and pre-aim. And if they do that, there's really nothing you can do. So especially from the north side, because you can't just poke up and show your turret because it's all flat over there. So I hope that helps. I still haven't had a great game on Fisherman's Bay to show you, just because of the way the matchmaker works, and sometimes you're in a turretless TD and you can't go middle to try and show how to play middle on a turretless TD. So I hope that helps. I will be putting out a few more videos. I've got some videos from subscribers that I'll be putting out. I've been so busy at work. I apologize, guys, but it's just the way it is this time of year in construction. So you just have to live with what few videos you get. I'm sorry. We will catch you on the next one, guys, and thanks for your patience. Tonester out.